What's up? I'm going to be explaining FITT VPP and how it relates to cardio, muscular, and flexibility. So I'm just going to go through letter by letter, and the point of a program like this is to make something that's safe and also individualized. And I think the most important thing is you're going to put all this work into a program. You want it to actually be effective. So we're just going to kind of talk about what each letter means, my own personal experience with each letter, and what makes it effective. Alright, so the first letter of FITT VPP, you probably guess, is F. And F is going to stand for frequency. That is how often we're doing it. So for cardio, that's 5 days a week. For muscular, that's 2 to 3 days per week. And for flexibility, it's also 2 to 3 days per week. Alright, we know how frequently we're doing it. But how hard are we going? That's the I, intensity. So intensity for cardio is going to be percent of max heart rate. 220 minus your age is your max heart rate. If you want vigorous, this is my personal experience, if you want vigorous cardio gains, it has to be 85% or above of your max heart rate. For muscular, it's going to be percent of your 1 rep max. My personal experience, 2 to 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps at 85% or more of your max in whatever lift you're doing. So if it's bench press, you're doing 85% of your max for 4 to 6 reps, 3 sets. All right, and then for stretching, it's kind of a gray area. It's something that we call the edge, and that's going to be you're not in pain, but you're also slightly uncomfortable. You're just right at the edge of that stretch, and you just kind of want to reach that intensity whenever you're doing this. All right, the first T in FITT VPP is time. And this is how often we're doing this per week, or we know how frequently we're doing it, but how long are we doing it while we're actually doing it? So for cardio, this is going to be 75 minutes of vigorous or 150 minutes of moderate intensity cardio per week. And there's also a recommendation for 300 minutes per week for weight loss. Wow. For muscular, it's going to be reps, sets, and rests. So like I just mentioned, if you're trying to make gains in strength, it's going to be, probably 4 to 6 reps for 3 sets, and you're taking about 2.5 minutes of rest. And then finally for stretching, it's going to be about 90 seconds for each body part. So if you're static stretching your hamstrings and you're just down there and you're trying to find the edge, it's going to be about 3 sets of 30 seconds trying to just stay right on that edge. The second T is type. All right, and this is what mode of exercise are we actually doing? So for cardio, this could be running, this could be high intensity training, this could be biking. For muscular, this could be free weight, it could be machines, it could be cables. And for stretching, is it static, where you're just kind of right there and you're just holding the edge? Is it dynamic, where you're kind of moving around the edge a little bit? Or is it ballistic, whenever you're trying to just dip past that edge and just get that extra elasticity, that extra range of motion? All right, so that's FITT, and these are the last 3 right here, VPP. So volume is an interesting one. Volume is frequency times intensity times time, and that's going to give you a total amount of reps, and it's just going to basically show you your total amount of workload for whatever it is you're doing. So whatever your workload looks like in cardio, muscular, or flexibility, you can gauge that by using frequency, intensity, and time, and you can say, well, I feel a little extra sore. And then you can look at your volume and you can say, maybe we just need to bring that volume down a little bit. And that's how you can kind of gauge where you're at. If you're actually making changes, if you're actually feeling it, you can have a tangible number with volume that shows you where you're at and where the change needs to be made. So pattern is the first P in VPP. A pattern is going to be what's our split look like? How are we splitting up this workout, and how are we staying spontaneous with it and making it interesting? So for cardio, this could be, are we doing endurance? For me, it's I like to do intervals. I like to sprint. My personal goal is to improve my mile time. So I want to keep my tempo runs up. I want to really make gains in how fast I'm actually going, and I want to do vigorous. So that's my split with cardio. For muscular, it's what kind of exercise split are we using? So it could be body part to body part. I'm doing biceps today, I'm doing shoulders tomorrow, next day I'm doing chest, then I'm doing triceps. That's one of them. For me, what I found is a push-pull leg. So that would be all your push movements, shoulder press, bench press, incline press, whatever it may be on the first day. Next day, you're doing pulls, whether it's barbell, deadlift, seated rows, anything like that. And then you're doing legs. And you're just kind of taking a rest and repeating that. And I feel like I just personally have got the most out of that pattern of exercise. And then for stretching, a pattern probably looks like, are you stretching before your workout or after your workout? Are you stretching both of those? Or are you isolating your stretching? Do you want your stretching to be alone and you really want to get a lot out of it? And that's pattern. All right. Last one is progression. And the thing about progression is it kind of goes a lot with volume, because progression is how you choose to change your frequency, intensity, and time. So progression, you see how you feel, you see what your volume actually looks like, and then you choose to make that change. So if you're exercising and you're doing a lot of bench press, and all of a sudden after a couple weeks in your program, you don't feel the same burn you used to on those last couple reps. Well, you can look at that, you can say, all right, my volume's right here, I'm going to take it 2 to 5% up in weight. I'm going to let that affect my volume, and then I'm going to go from there, and I'm going to see what my progression looks like. So that is FITT VPP. It's a safe, individualized program, but most importantly, it's designed to be effective. It's something you can put a lot of work into, but it's actually going to give you the results that you want to see. That's just what I hope to share the most about this. Thank you.